Hey guys, and thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, we'd really appreciate it if you would. Today we're going to take a look at some hood struts I got off Amazon from Autobahn88. These are a little different than the only other video I could find on YouTube about installing hood struts, so I thought I'd show you some details. The other ones use a screw with the ball on the end. These use a bracket, so I thought that would make it fit a little bit better. The instructions are a little lackluster, and if you scan the QR code it takes you to a YouTube video, but it's showing you how to do it on an S2000, which doesn't really translate to this. I did learn some lessons along the way, so I want to show those to you too. Let's take a look. As far as tools for this install, a deep 10mm is pretty much the only thing you need as far as sockets. And then I've got a pick tool, and I'll show you what I'm going to use that for here in a second. You can see the fender and hood are labeled left and right, as well as fender and hood. These are the brackets that we're going to install, and I would highly recommend taking those stickers off before you do the install. These guys come together on this piece of foam, and you can just unscrew the small end, and then the foam will just slide right off. There are little spring clips in here, so you push down and the spring clip kind of flips over, and then you can slide it out. You really don't want to lose these because they don't come with extras. There's going to be one on the back as well. Now I'm going to put this end back on, and the dampener actually goes with the thick end up here. Now I'm very particular. None of these bolts have ever been turned before, and I know some people, it's all scratched up under the hood, but I'm doing my best to keep this in as good a shape as possible. So I've got a pick tool. What I'm going to do is run that around the gap between the top of that bolt and the fender itself in an attempt to give it a line to tear the paint, since these were painted on from the factory. I'm going to do the same thing up here. You're going to end up marking up the paint on this bolt, but I'm going to go ahead and put a shop towel on it just to try to minimize that as much as I can, so that down the road, you know, there's less to have to touch up paint if I really want to. So they recommend you grease all of this so that it doesn't rust, and I intend to do that. It does come with grease, and it's got a little Q-tip and a thing of grease that you can just dab. So I'm just going to get a little coating of grease on here to just help that corrosion prevention. Then I'm going to do the same on the underside of this washer. So the most frustrating thing was they don't tell you where this washer provided goes. It goes on this bolt. I tried it underneath first, and that made it to where this guy could move around too much, and you don't want that. This really has to be locked in between this seam and the edge of the fender in order to not move around on you. So you just want to get that started, and then once you go to hunker it down, you do want to make sure that it's all lined up how you want it. I was way more worried about busting this one loose up here. It just, you know, doesn't have a whole lot of resistance to it. So when you go to do it, you know, I really recommend holding everything so that you're not torquing the hood too much. So same deal, you just take this guy and you want to grease it a little underneath just to help prevent corrosion. Then you can start this. Ball goes towards the inside. Because this is a mating surface, I went ahead and put some grease in here too. Just that way I know it's going to lubricate and keep water out a little bit better too. Not that I drive this in the rain very often, or if I can help it. So now we're going to take this strut, and we're going to go ahead and pop on the bottom. Then you got to get that retaining clip in there. There's a tiny little hole where it goes in, and then there's a tiny hole on the other side So it really has to go in straight to line up. And if it doesn't sit down all the way, it's not coming out the other side, but you can kind of feel it. You may be able to see it right there. And it just slides over. Now, as far as the length, they do screw in and out, so you can adjust that throw. And it looks like these are going to be a little off of what the other side is. So I'll probably have to actually extend the other side because this one is not wanting to go on. It worked okay. Now we're going to do the clip on this other side. Now we're going to tighten these down. Again, you really want to make sure that this is like held up against the fender straight. Otherwise, it's going to want to twist when you close the hood and throw it off. Not real worried about torque spec or anything. You know, snug, but no ugga-duggas, as they say. You just want to make sure that it's just snug on there and not going to move around. And do the same up here. And see, it wants to turn immediately. I think it'd be way better if it spanned across multiple bolts. Like if they had this bracket went under this as well or something, and then up here went on both. But I guess you could throw the alignment of the whole hood off if you weren't real careful when you were setting it up. All right, let's see how we did. Everything feels pretty good. I'm going to kind of support it when it comes down this first time. It feels pretty good. It's a little stiff. Shuts pretty nice. I don't know, that panel gap's a little lower than I feel like it was before I did this. Not too bad. Gonna move this out a little to try to level it out. Oh yeah, way better since I backed out that little standoff. It was easier to close after that first one too. Not too bad. I'm sure they'll break in and get a little looser with time, and I may have to go back and put a little bit more torque on these. I did as much as I was comfortable with for now, but they may work themselves loose with time. I'm not real sure. I did have a little trouble getting this factory hood prop off, and it really came down to figuring out how these clips work on the inside. You could use a flathead or a pick tool like this, and then you push on the inside, and that depresses the little clips so that it can come out. It's a lot easier if you know what it looks like than if you're doing it, you know, blind. I know this isn't as exciting as some performance mods that you may want to do, but it's something I really wanted to get done on the car. I prop it up a lot just to try to help cool it, since, you know, there's not a ton of airflow with the engine in the back. So anytime I'm a safe place where I can leave it open, I do, or within, you know, eye shot. And I really like that it holds it up on both sides instead of just one. That way if wind comes along, it's not warping and pushing on things funny. I do like this set. Obviously there's room for improvement. There is with almost all aftermarket parts, but I'm pretty happy with it overall. I'll put a link in the description if you want to purchase a set on Amazon. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if there's anything you want to add I didn't include, please put that in the comments as well. I'm always glad to learn something new. Thanks.